New season, new prop bets, and Davis pretty much continues being wrong about everything. Next on Dotting the I with Davis and Chad. What's up, Buckeye Nation, and welcome back to Dotting the I with Davis and Chad. This is episode 19, and it has been a long, long road to get here.
Yeah, we apologize for, kind of like...
I'm not sorry.
Well, you should be, because you've put yourself and your family and me and all listeners through all kinds of suspense waiting for this to come back.
I relished every minute of it. I might do it again.
Oh, I guarantee what you went through, you would never do again. Even though you actually are getting ready to probably do some of it again, but...
Oh, my gosh. I'll tell you what, just between having a baby and moving twice in 6 months is not exactly the... Oh, well, there was also the home remodel during that, but the home remodel, having a baby, and moving twice in 6-7 months was definitely something that I would not recommend anybody do.
No, and trying to find change of jobs possibly, or at least, different roles at the job. I mean, that's stressful, and we just got a million things going on, during that break too. Like, I got one now expecting in November.
Hendrick's pregnant?
I hope so, or else, he's got some questions to answer. No, but, we're expecting our second, and,
Yeah, congratulations on that, by the way.
It's just life, man.
Hold
life,
on.
But I mean,
can we just go back to the point where I congratulated Davis on being a father again, and he just went right over that shit. He didn't even phase him a little bit. I was like, congratulations. He's like, okay. Anyway, move on.
It's because I've known you for so long. I know when it's actually genuine, and when you're saying it to just try to save face and look like you're being a nice guy. We've had talk behind closed doors. I know how you really feel.
That's true.
Well, anyways, the whole goal is, when we finally get this thing up and running more full time, we still want to be active during the off season. And, talk about, more fun stuff and a little more lighthearted, and, kind of keep a little bit current with some things instead of having, a 9-month break like we just had.
More importantly than anything, we're back. We're not going anywhere. There won't be any, barring something crazy happening, of course. There's not going to be any long breaks like that. We are back. We are back for good. We're excited for another Ohio State football season. We're days away. I'm super excited. I cannot wait. Every year, I can't wait to get my Ohio State jerseys out of the closet just so I can wear them. It's that time of year, man. Let the beer flow. Let the TV on loud. Tell the wife to shut up, and let's watch some football.
Yeah, and not particularly in that order either. So sometimes you got to tell her to be quiet to start. But,
true.
I'm the same way, man. And me, it's like what always gets me in the mood is I start listening to like some Ohio State marching band stuff. I listen to Hang On Sloopy. I watch some old game footage from the previous year, and, try to pick out a couple players that I'm really, interested in seeing this year that, might have had limited roles the year before, or seeing how the team kind of grows. And I'm really interested in seeing what kind of new players, new recruits might make the field and things like that. So I think there's a lot to look forward to this year for sure.
So let's talk about some of the craziness, man, that's happened since we've been away, because there is a ton of it. And I think we should start off with, in no particular order of importance, all this crap going on with the Big 12, SEC, Big 10 alliance with other. I mean, dude, it is crazy out there. It's a circus.
I just think it's so funny how literally as soon as Texas and Oklahoma decide to leave the Big 12 and go to the SEC, like all hell breaks loose. Like it's literally like pandemonium in the streets. Like everyone's like, oh, well, this is ruining college football, and the Big 10 and the Pac-12 and the ACC are going to be irrelevant. This is all about super conferences now. And I'm like, first of all, this isn't even going to happen for like 3-4 years. Number two is the only thing that's realistically going to happen out of this is the Big 12 is going to go away. Other than that, I mean, it's not really that much of a super conference. I mean, do they have some of the... Listen, they have some more of the top tier teams, but I think they get way too much a pass for their middle of the road and their lower end teams. Like you can't tell them, okay, they got 16 teams, but there are 16 good teams. That's not a super conference. You can't have Vanderbilt in your conference and be a super conference. Are you kidding me?
Dude, top to bottom, it's not even a comparison anymore. If the SEC wasn't hands down above everybody else, they 100% are now, and it's not even close. Not even a vague competition at all. Dude, they completely cornered the market. That was the most boss move I've ever seen. You know how bad I hate the SEC, but dude, I got to give credit where credit is due.
Well, you're not wrong with a lot of what you said, but I mean, ultimately, this move actually came down to money, and the big money makers in the Big 12 was obviously Oklahoma and Texas, and bringing them over to the SEC is not just a competitive thing; it's a money thing. As a matter of fact, it might be mostly money, and I think people overlook that. And if you look at how much these conferences are bringing in, the Big Ten is doing just fine. They're in second place alone. Let's move on from that. I think we'll bring up just a little bit because again we haven't talked in a while. The recruiting that we've done lately, it's been really good. We got JT Tuimoloau from Washington, who was the #1 overall recruit, defensive end. Some more key wide receivers. I mean, our draft classes are looking really good. But I think the biggest thing that happened in the offseason was Quinn Ewers, #1 quarterback in the 2022 class, with, at the time, I believe, was still a perfect rating, decided to come in early to Ohio State and reclassify as a 2021 recruit. And the biggest reason there being not that he was expecting to come in and, compete for a starting job already, but because he knew his name was worth a lot and he wanted to make money, and he couldn't do that in high school in Texas.
It kind of, I don't know, man. It kind of strikes me a little bit weird. I mean, I know that he's okay. It doesn't strike me a little bit weird in that I don't know what he did. I do know what he did. He's a high school kid and he wants money. I get it. It's just that I'm not fully used to that motivation yet, and
Well,
as a college athlete.
That's just going to be one of those big changes now that we're going to start seeing, unless Texas or some of these other states that don't allow it change their laws and let kids, make money.
Yeah,
but you're just going to see
I know
that
what
kind
you're
of like
saying.
how the transfer portal's kind of gone nuts. I mean, people don't stay in a program anymore. They want me, mine, 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 now, and they want to go somewhere they can play right away, and kind of lost that edge of staying in a program and developing and waiting your turn.
I had to remind myself that that was really the reason he did it, because when it first happened, I was thinking to myself, "What are you doing? Why would you do that?" You know what I
Right.
mean? I thought about it, like, let the process take hold. You got two really good quarterbacks, well, three really. I'm sure one will transfer most likely, but I'm saying, you already have a pretty good room there. I don't know why you'd want to put your beak in there as a freshman. Wait
Well,
your time to come.
I just, the more I think about it, he almost probably didn't have a choice, because if you think about it, his stock's not going to be any better than it is right now. He could only make things worse for himself, and not that he was going to go anywhere else, potentially, but it's not like his stock would go down or change the fact that he'd already signed with us, but he had the risk of possibly getting hurt his senior year. While sitting and playing in high school and not being able to make a single dime off his name, when he knows that if he can early enroll, whether he plays or not, the benefit, one, is he can already make money. Number two is he can actually go ahead and start developing under Coach Mick and start learning the system. So that way his learning curve, when he does get his opportunity, is going to be 0 to none.
Here's my biggest question is this. If you're Coach Ryan Day right now, what are you thinking? Because, you got CJ Stroud, who's a redshirt freshman this year. So why? Okay, so if he's going to get the nod, he's going to get the original start, but you got a freshman a freshman phenom coming in here. And if he's everything that everybody says that he is, you have to play him, don't you? I mean, you're going to have to play him.
Yeah, and I think you bring up an interesting point. First of all, as me personally, I don't like the move. Not what he's benefiting from it, but as a fan of Ohio State, I don't like the move, because I would rather him wait another year to come in and then kind of spend that year either deciding if he could possibly be the starter or give him some time in the system, because I think him coming in early has sped up the clock now to where he's going to have to start sooner than later. I wanted to realistically give CJ Stroud or Kyle McCord a chance to see if they can really run this offense and do something with this team for a year or two, and then have Quinn Ewers waiting in the wings ready to come in without missing a beat and maybe be even better. But now it's going to be a big mix up of, well, gosh, when do I put Ewers in? At what point is that going to be, the play? But at the same time, maybe there's pressure to put him in sooner because you don't want him leaving. Because, I mean, that's the other thing, too. Ryan Day probably did not want him coming in early, but he's not going to tell him that. He doesn't want to risk him, changing his recruiting and going somewhere else. They don't
But
want to lose him to someone else.
if I'm Ryan Day, though, this is where I have a conundrum with who I'm starting at quarterback. Now, I would almost feel better if Ryan Day said today he's your starting quarterback. I would almost feel better about that, and I'll tell you why. Because C.J. Stroud is going to get the nod. Say he comes in, say he's not phenomenal, but say he's serviceable. Okay, say we win games. He's a great game manager. He does nothing to cement the position, but nothing to lose it. Okay, how do you justify taking a kid that's not played at Ohio State versus someone that you consider a leader in your locker room because he's been there for a couple of years now? How do you put him on the bench in favor of a freshman? I don't understand that. How do you do that?
And that's why they pay him millions of dollars, and me and you are sitting here for free doing this. Because I have no idea how you make that decision. Trust me, like that's all honestly going to be my biggest fear is what happens. Not my biggest fear, but what I worry about the most is what happens if CJ Stroud has a ridiculously good year. I mean, Heisman finalist, undefeated, goes to the playoffs, right? That's
Right.
CJ Stroud's team then next year.
To me, yeah.
How are you going to put Quinn Ewers or let alone Kyle McCord in that next year and say it's an open competition when you have someone that is played that well? It's not that I'm rooting for CJ Stroud to not do well. I want him to do well. But that's going to be one of the most difficult things for that quarterback room is if CJ Stroud comes out and absolutely balls out. And I think there's potential for that to happen. Then for sure Kyle McCord or Quinn is going to be out. And I feel like Kyle McCord is more the one to stick it out and wait his turn, and Quinn Ewers is going to be more like a Tate Martell hothead and jump ship. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know these guys personally, but that's just kind of the vibe I get.
I guess we just kind of have to trust Ryan Day in his judgment because, that would be a terrible thing. And people want to point at Joe Burrow like that was not the decision. Like we let go a Heisman, winning quarterback, a national title winning quarterback, and kept one of lesser stature. I don't feel like that at all.
First of all, Dwayne Haskins set a bunch of records that year, and that year, Joe Burrow wasn't going to get the start anyways because he was still coming off an injury. Like
Right.
people
But
don't realize that.
My point is though that he's so young, Quinn Ewers, is that if he does transfer to wherever, okay, and he really is what everybody says he is, and he wins 2 national titles and a Heisman, we're going to feel like some idiots.
Yeah, but again, therein lies the problem. If CJ Stroud absolutely balls out, because that he's got another year of or that he has to play another year after this one.
And that's why, dude, and that's why I'm saying if they really think that Ewers is the guy, I'd start him now. I don't even let him get through the whole season. I don't let CJ get through the whole season. If you really believe that he's the guy, because how can you take it from CJ if he goes out and does it?
Therein lies the problem with when you recruit this many people of this high up and there's one football to go around and that's it, you're going to have people that are leaving.
I tell you what's going to happen. We're going to end up being in this stupid dual quarterback thing for a while. I guarantee it. Watch.
I don't think so because that was an Urban Meyer thing. Urban Meyer had done that at Florida. He did it at Ohio State. And Urban Meyer single-handedly, I still love the guy. But he single-handedly screwed up our 2015 season by doing that and waiting to call it a starter like 15 minutes before game time on the road at Virginia Tech. Like
I don't know.
That was on Urban, man. Like
yeah, but Ryan Day's never even been in that situation, really. I mean, on this level. So does he do the same thing? We don't know that he doesn't. We don't.
I don't. See,
does he do it to keep Ewers happy? Like, hey, I've got to put this kid in, or he's gonna go. Like.
Well, I think at the end of the day, and I guess if you put myself in Ryan Day's shoes, as much as I don't want to lose Ewers, not only for what he could do for us, but you don't want someone else benefiting off of that. If CJ Stroud balls out, man, and he's the guy, are you gonna, after Heisman hopeful, and say, "Sorry, dude, you're benched," and then imagine if that were to happen, and then you put Ewers in, and Ewers busts out a little bit,
man. But you know what?
Dude, you have to ride who's playing the best at that time, regardless of what you came in with, what mindset you came in with. Best player you have right now, you have to stick with.
Yeah, I have to. I agree with it, man. But here's my thing. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Ewers told Ryan Day that he was coming early and enrolling early, because I would love to know what Ryan Day said to him at that point. Because if I was Ryan Day, I would have said, "Don't do that."
For all we know, he did do that. For all we know, he did say that and said, "Don't do it." He's like, but if you come in and that's what you decide to do, then we will treat you like any other freshman coming in. And eventually, maybe even said you come in and for sure you're not starting yet because you have way too much to catch up on. But for all we know, yeah, maybe he did say that. I mean, I think Ryan Day's a pretty straight shooter, at least kind of what I've gotten from him with, a lot of the comments in the media and stuff that he says. I think he's a pretty, big straight shooter. And I can guarantee if he wasn't really feeling it or if he thought it wasn't best for Quinn, he probably told him don't do it. And Quinn, if that's the case and he decided to do it anyways, then maybe that's still saying something more about Quinn that maybe he's not mature enough for this yet.
Oh, I know he's not mature enough. I mean, he's not. I mean, at that age, dude, very few are. It takes time. It takes time to grow and to learn and to do things the right way. And I know, and I guarantee you that if they really think that he's the guy, it's not on raw talent alone that he's not starting. It's on his maturity and the fact that CJ Stroud has already been there. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
But it's not just that he's already been there. By being there, he is more physically developed because he's been in the weight program. He knows the system. He has a relationship with the players. He's.
You know what I'm getting ready to say?
He's more trustworthy.
What word am I getting ready to say? That you hate. You hate it when I say it, but I say it.
I can't remember. I know
loyalty.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to say loyalty.
Yeah.
Because notoriously through Ohio State history, we've had it to a fault sometimes and to good reasons sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not blind loyalty. Like you're saying it just as like, oh, well, you've been here the longest, and you have a relationship, so it is what it is. Like loyalty, I understand to a point, but it's not just
the starting quarterback.
I think it has to be CJ Stroud. I think he's the best athlete right now. He's been in the system the longest, so he knows it better. He probably has better relationship with the.
Yeah, but
he's probably a better leader. That's another thing. He's probably a better leader.
You're not letting me ask the question. What that you have seen, I'm not talking about what Ryan Day sees. Forget about Ryan Day. What that you have seen tells you that he's a better quarterback than everybody else in that room.
To be perfectly honest, I haven't seen anything from anyone.
So why is
really
he the best then? Yes, you have.
Because
Kyle McCord threw the lights out of the field on the spring game, and that's the only really test you have.
That's the spring game, man. First of all, if you go back and watch it, some of the throws CJ Stroud had, like I'm going to challenge you when we get done with this podcast. I want you to go back and watch the highlights of all the quarterbacks and tell me that CJ Stroud threw the ball like crap. If you do, I will apologize for anything I've said to you today.
As long as you go back and tell me if Kyle McCord threw it better.
I think Kyle McCord looks like he has better arm talent. I agree with that, and I've said that to you. But to sit there and say that, you think Stroud might be like another JT Barrett kind of character is absurd. If you actually go back and watch his pocket presence and some of the passes he threw, he does not look bad at all. He looks really good, as a matter of fact. But I agree. I think there's more arm talent with McCord. But I think CJ Stroud has some other intangibles, especially probably being more of a leader, a little more vocal, been in the system longer. Being able to maybe utilize his legs a little bit more, that overall he's the better choice. Now, in the long run, if they all had the same career that started on the same day, I would probably want to say Kyle McCord will be the better overall quarterback, but they're in different years. Kyle McCord is probably not mature enough quite yet either. And I think that's ultimately where the argument's coming from. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I pretty much agree, but they're at different phases. And right now, CJ Stroud, it's his turn. He's ready. And he's the one that's going to have to go with it.
I mean, I hope you're right. I'm just not as sold on CJ Stroud as everybody else. Everybody's ready to hand him a Heisman Trophy and hand him the keys to this thing. And it's the same way that I've always been with everybody. I have to be proven. I don't just give you something. I don't just say, oh, you're the man. Well, let's go then. You're the man. No.
I think he's also set up for the most success more than any quarterback I can remember in history. Besides some of the players that Troy Smith had to work with, he has some of the most, electric and consistent weapons around him on offense that, it may very well mask some inadequacies that he may have. I mean, you literally have the best wide receiving core in the country, and it may not even be close. You have one of the best offensive lines in the country. You have a group of running backs back there that you could literally rotate 3 or 4 of them out and wouldn't miss a beat. So he's probably going to put up some really good numbers, and I'd say you could almost plug and play almost anyone in there. So I think that's another reason why if he's, even just a fraction of what Justin Fields was, I think he's going to do just fine. And I think I think he's ready. I think he's going to be better than what you're going to give him credit for. I'm not going to sit
Well,
there and say he's going to be, Heisman winner. I'm not going to sit there and say he's going to be setting all these records at Ohio State, but I think he's going to go down as a really good quarterback for Ohio State.
I hope you're right. I'm not going to take anything away from the kid. I don't know him from Adam, and the sample size that I've had to watch him is not very big. So I can't sit here and say that, I've watched this and I've watched that like I do when I analyze other players that I'm watching. I hope he does. I hope he goes out there and kills it. I hope he wins, 2 Heismans and a national title. I really do. I don't know that for sure. Like I said, from my first instinct on the little piece that I watched, I would have not have started him. I wouldn't start him. That's just me. I started Kyle McCord. That's my pick.
Yeah.
I think that for Ryan Day and his style of quarterback coaching, he wants a Dwayne Haskins. He wants a Kyle McCord. He wants a pocket passing pro style quarterback, and that's what Kyle McCord is. CJ Stroud is another everybody else. Braxton Miller, Terrell Pryor, all those guys, just like that. It's the same thing. Now, he may have a little bit of arm than the rest of them. He may be more accurate than the rest of them. We don't know that yet. We really don't. But my point is he's that type of quarterback. And I really just thought we were getting away from that, but we're back in it again. So
Well,
that's kind of
I think the first 2 games of the year are going to be really telling because those first 2 games, even though I think we should win them both, are not going to be easy, especially this first one coming up on Thursday at Minnesota. We're going to do a big game preview on that, but right out of the gate, that's not an easy game, especially not even have thrown a pass in college yet. And then the following weekend at home against Oregon, who's projected to not only win the Pac-12, but they're saying that they're a possible playoff team. Like, those are 2 tough games right out the bat, and I'll tell you what, that'll show us a lot in those first 2 games. If he comes out of there looking really good, then he's legit, and I would believe it after the first 2 games.
I mean, yeah, I can see. I mean, I think we'll see. I'm excited to see a lot of things. Number one, I'm ready to see a new defense. I better see a new defense. Number 2, like I said, we want to see what our new quarterback's got. And number 3, for me, the most intriguing thing to watch from me is going to be the running backs.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
I predict that by the end of the season, Master Teague will either fade completely out of the depth chart or be third. That is my call.
I surprisingly agree with you on something here. I think one of the most exciting things besides the quarterback and being hopeful the defense looks better is I'm probably the most excited to see how the running backs shake out because, and I've told you this before, one player I'm really looking forward to see play is Trayvon Henderson. They say he's electric. He's got all the intangibles, everything. It's just he's young, and they're going to kind of ease him into the thing. But I think once he finally gets in there and he gets his opportunity, I think he's going to take advantage of it. And I think there's very good potential. He'll be the starter about halfway through the season, if not sooner. I really do believe that.
That's where we slightly disagree because I'm a Mine Williams fan. He runs so hard. He has to be the hardest runner that I can think of in the last 5 years. He's like a bowling ball, dude. He punishes people when he hits them. I really don't think they're going to take him off the field. And I'm not saying that at some point Trayvon won't take over and take more of a majority. I think it's going to be a 2-headed monster throughout the season.
And I'm a person that I actually believe in the 2-headed system. And the reason why is, I mean, sure, sometimes it's not just your series, my series, your series, my series, ride the hot hand for a little while. But the best thing about that 2-person system is they're not taking as many bangs during a game. They're staying a lot fresher, especially not just for, by the fourth quarter, but I'm talking, for the duration of a season. If you have kind of that one main guy and that's what you're really relying upon, kind of like how Trey Sermon had to take over the second half of that season, he got to Alabama and broke his collarbone. Now, kind of a freak accident, but, he got banged up a lot with how much he had to run those last 2 games. So,
Plus, if you're running a 2-headed monster like we talked about, say somebody goes down, you're still in good shape because you've got someone that's had a lot of game reps in there that knows what's going on. It's not like you're pulling somebody off the bench. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're
The
trying to
depth,
find
our
their.
depth there is stupid good. Like I am not worried about getting rushing production at all with this team. Um, I just think, I'll be honest, I'm not even worried about getting the passing production for the most part either. I mean, to be honest, if we could just get to 150 passing yards a game with, probably 200 to 250 rushing, I mean, you're talking 450, 500 yards on average a game. Like that's top 5 offense, top 10
I'm.
offense.
I can't lie to you. I'm very excited about. I really want to see Marvin Harrison Jr. I've been so excited that we recruited him and brought him in, just because of the pedigree he comes from.
He
And
looks
already
like the
they've talked
real deal,
about,
man.
yeah,
He
he
just
does. And
looks like a grown ass man, and he's what 19.
yeah, and from the day he stepped on campus, everybody's been talking about him, talking about he's the real deal, and I want to see him get a shot. You know what I mean? And like I
Hmm.
said, like you said, there's a lot of hands out there right now this year. I mean, Jesus, Julian Fleming, Olave, Garrett Wilson. You got Jeremy Ruckert too
You
coming
have
back at tight end.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
You have Julian Fleming now healthy. Heard he's doing really well. Amika Ibuka, you
Yep.
know, top wide receiver I think from Texas. Like it's embarrassing how many good players we have on offense. The problem is you have one ball and you have to find a way to get it to all of them and keep them happy while still keeping that train rolling.
And this is exactly why I hope Ryan Day made the right choice at quarterback. That's all I'm saying. Because those hands need the ball and somebody's got to get it to them. And, if CJ Stroud isn't the number one passer, we got to play to our strengths here. And I feel like, do you not agree that I would say that our receiving core has to be our number one strength on offense this year?
Absolutely.
I mean, it has to be.
Absolutely. And they need to get the ball. And I mean, there's creative ways. You don't have to be throwing it 40 yards down the field every time. That sure that can happen, 4 or 5 times a game, but it's being creative and maybe getting him in some screens and getting him, these little short routes that Ryan Day likes to do to kind of keep the downs on schedule and keep us at, 2nd and 5 or, 3rd and 2, and stuff like that. Easy, quick little plays like a rollout 5 yard, to the sideline,
Right.
or just, if they're playing zone, he kind of drops, the slot receiver kind of right in the middle of the field and gets an easy 7, 8 yards every time. Like the system he runs works really well. And then when they try to start ganging up there, that's when we start running it down their throat. So I think the offense is going to do fine. I think, what's really going to be the tail for the entire season this year is actually going to be the defense.
Yeah. Now, obviously, they brought in a co-defensive coordinator this year. Even though he's already been there. I'm just saying there is now a co-defensive coordinator, which I think needed to happen. I don't know. So I feel better about it, but you have to think, dude, Ryan Day, it's his neck on the line, dude. If he wasn't comfortable with it, I hardly see him going forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to feel better than he did last year. And I sure hope so. Cause I mean, last year, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, dude. We sucked. We sucked on defense last year.
Well, it
Really
was a
did.
combination of having slow linebackers, even though they were our veterans, they were slow.
Loyalty.
Well, with Tough Borland, God, he's the slowest player that I've ever seen.
At least give me loyalty on that one. At least
that has to be loyalty because I don't know how he kept making the field.
And there was younger guys behind him. They were playing. They were doing just fine.
Listen, we had injuries in the defensive backfield. We had inexperience. We lost a lot the year before, and we didn't really have that really good pass rush, which also meant that it was going to be a lot harder to defend if we couldn't, pressure the quarterback. Because some of your best pass defense is your rush defense, or is getting to the quarterback. So I think that we're improving in all areas, and I would almost venture to say that we're probably improving athletically in the linebacking group. It's just going to be inexperienced. So
I would say the same thing for our DBs this year.
I'm almost willing to say that I think we might get run on a little bit because I think, a lot of that also lies upon the linebackers reading those properly and hitting those holes and blocking those up a little bit. I think we might get run on a little bit this year, but I feel like in passing situations, we're going to get more pressure on the quarterback. I think the defensive backs are going to be a little bit better, a little bit quicker, even just by getting rid of Sean Wade, because whether he was playing injured or whatever, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think you put anyone else in Sean Wade's shoes and we're already better off. So,
yeah.
so I really feel like we're going to be better. but I think it might be something where we get ran on a little bit more than we'd like to see. But I think we're going to be better at pass defense.
See, I hope so. I'm waiting to see how everybody matured over this year, getting another football camp and another year maturity under their belt, and to see who's going to be a true number one, and whether we should be better. I cannot see us being worse on pass defense with another year of experience under our belts. A whole new defensive outlook. I just can't. I can't see it being bad. Who we got back there? Proctor and
Yeah, Proctor. I think Hooker's back even after his Dewey.
who's the other one? I'm thinking corner.
Ronnie Hickman. Oh, the guy that tore his Achilles last year. He's back. Cameron Brown.
Yeah, Brown.
Lathan Ransom. He's going to get some playing time this year.
Yeah, I'm going to add
Seven Banks.
Seven Banks. Jesus, why could I not come up with that? Seven Banks is who I'm most excited to see, and I couldn't even remember his name because, last year he showed glimpses of being able to do that. Remember, we were crying all season for people to put more pressure towards him and take it off Sean Wade.
Mm-hmm.
We thought he could handle it more, and I'm really anxious to see what another camp and another year of maturity will do for him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm super excited, and I have really high expectations for this season. We'll get into what we think about the season as a whole when we do that first game preview for the Minnesota game. We'll kind of combine that and piggyback that together. But I'm really excited. And I know I say that every year, and it's a lot of it's because I've been missing it for the last 9 months, and I can't wait to see him on the field again. But that's one of the best things about college football, man, is just like sometimes it can be so different from year to year. And you're really looking forward to see how guys progress and develop and, seeing what new recruits look like and seeing kind of the changes you go through and still trying to come up with it. So, that's just the beauty of it. And that's why it's so enjoyable to be an Ohio State fan because, we never really, have to, we just reload,
Yeah. All right. So listen, everybody, we are back and we are going to do a second episode in like the next 2 days. So if you like this, you hear it, and you want to keep listening, please do. We're going to put one out on the morning of the game just to get everybody pumped up for game day. A little preview, maybe continue on some of the stuff we were talking about here and really talk about the start of the Ohio State football season. I'm super excited. I cannot believe it's here. Like literally, I was watching baseball last week and I'm going, holy crap. I was like, we play football next week. I was like, I can't believe it. We're playing football next week. Like it's 92 degrees outside and I'm sweating from my ass, but we're playing football next week.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well. And man, it's just about time. It's almost, this is the time of year where it's like, I need the football because, I'm a teacher. I start back work. I got the stress of kind of getting the year started. Got a million things going on, and it's just a big reprieve and something to look forward to on a weekly basis.
It really is.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's why last year was so hard to go through that, we didn't know week to week what we were going to get. And it was just so hard to deal with. Like, I'm just hoping for some continuity this year. And
that's it.
I'm looking forward to seeing the environments back in college with the fans and the noise and just the electric feel. You even get that feel just watching it on TV. You really do.
Right.
You can tell the difference when there's no fans in the stands. Even though you may not be able to hear it, it's that buzz as you're listening to the game that you're missing. Yeah, as always, guys, want to remind you, we are on Facebook. So we got a page, so give us a like, join in there, chat with us, let us know what you think. And when we get these posted again, we'll try to put them up on YouTube. But as always, you can always stream them on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, pretty much all of the streaming sites that you can find us on as well.
See you in 2 days.
All right. Go Bucks. OH.